The donation is a sponsorship site that replaces cash with action. The aim of it is really to actively engage people in living more sustainably. The idea is that people go and do a challenge, and it could be running a marathon or skiing to the South and North Poles, and they ask their friends to support them. Instead of asking them for money, like the traditional model will be, they ask them for action, to do something, like cycling to work, or eating a bit less meat, or eating local seasonal food. So the idea started a few years ago when I decided to cycle from London to Morocco, and I really wanted to use that challenge. I knew it was going to be a huge challenge, but I saw it as a really good opportunity to raise support for the environment, the cause that I was passionate about. But I realised that the environment doesn't really need people's money, it just needs their action. And I didn't feel comfortable asking for their money either. So I asked for their action, and it was a real success. Lots of people sponsored us, saved almost 20 tonnes of carbon, and I saw the impact it had on them, so decided to scale it up into a site that anyone could use. So the carbon's calculated by kind of basic footprinting calculations that we've done from the back end. When people make their pledge, they have to answer a few questions about what they're doing. So if they say they're going to cycle to work is the easiest example, we ask them how many miles they'll be cycling, how many times a week, and how they'd usually travel there, and from that an estimate of how much carbon they could save over the 2-month period. It's a 2-month sponsorship period. But carbon isn't the core of it all. It's the key thing to stress, that carbon's kind of the nice quantifiable element, but it's actually about broader sustainability. I got introduced to Mark, sadly, just a few weeks before he left to go to the South Pole. It was all very last minute. But when people heard that he was doing it, the epic expedition, largely to raise awareness of climate change, they realised it was a perfect match. He wanted to get people more involved in his challenge, especially the school kids who are on the education programme, and using the donation gave him a way to actively get his supporters involved in his trip, whilst also raising awareness of what people could, not just raising awareness of climate change, but raising awareness of what they can do about climate change, and actually getting them to do it. So Mark at the moment has, well, on the site it says 125 sponsors, but in reality it's more like 200, because a few of those sponsors are schools, or who've got kind of 90 kids to make draft excluders. So yeah, about 200. People are doing all sorts of things to support Mark. I think he's got the full range of actions up there that people have chosen from. There are 25 actions on the site at the moment. There are lots of people cycling to work or to school, and I've seen some of the comments being kind of, well, if you can ski to the South Pole, I think I can cycle 5 miles to work. And lots of people lots of the school kids making draft excluders, which fits nicely because they're kind of warming their homes up, and they can think of Mark in the freezing cold. He's not lucky enough to have one of their draft excluders. And a lot of people eating less meat, eating local seasonal food, all sorts of actions. So the target for Mark's challenge is to save 100 tonnes of carbon. At the moment, he's, again, according to the site, he's at 26 tonnes. Actually, one of the schools hasn't registered their pledge yet, so that's, in reality, more like 35 tonnes. So he's about 35% of the way there. There's a long way to go, but he's also got a long way to go on ice. So Mark's example, Mark's challenge is a fantastic kind of flagship challenge on the donation, but we've got lots of other people using it for all sorts of challenges. One guy sets off today to cycle from Perth to Adelaide in Australia, and another guy just registered this morning to doing a 100-mile ultra marathon from London to Oxford. Absolute mentalist. I'm doing a 10k run. And there are people who are using it as wedding gift lists and Christmas gift lists, so it doesn't have to be active challenges, sponsored knit-a-thons, all sorts, and lots of hikes and treks and things, which is fun.